going on? No. I need to know what in the Sam Hill is going on over at Xbox that we are now, again, within 4 months of the last time, increasing the price of consoles. Oh, God, how does this keep happening in our market today? We are 5 years into the generation, soon to be 6. We have not seen one single price drop in all of these devices, yet for some reason, we are now seeing increase after increase in console over console. And it's not just Xbox. In fact, Microsoft is now the first time I've ever seen a company increase the price of their consoles twice in a row within 4 months of each other. Like I said before, we just saw PlayStation do it recently. We saw Nintendo do it with the Switch 1, a 7-year-old console, increasing the cost of that just to make it right in line with the actual Switch 2. You know what? This is true. It's absolutely true. The Tim Dog curse is 100% real. If you don't know who Tim Dog is, he was an Xbox fanboy during the entire time Xbox was falling apart. Granted, even right now, could still be. Yet the moment things went south and they were no longer doing exclusives, Tim Dog jumped to being a PlayStation fanboy, and we saw how that turned out with PlayStation. Then he moved to Nintendo, and we saw how that's happening. And then a week ago, he said he's right back to being an Xbox fanboy. And look at what the curse has wrought. The second this dude went back to being an Xbox fanboy, Microsoft said, hey boys, jack up the price one more time just for good old measure's sake. Look, it's a meme, but goddamn, is it a funny ass meme. I gotta go back to reality though. This is an incredibly concerning thing because you can bet your sweet bippy at some point you're going to see other companies do the exact same thing. You're going to see PlayStation increase their cost of their consoles one more time. Who knows, maybe even right before the holiday or probably right even after. The thing is though, they could pull off the funniest thing ever and not do it at all. But hey, you know, companies, they're gonna be companies, I guess. Nintendo could possibly do it again with the Switch 2, and that would be also an insane thing to see. But watching this entire thing unfold online has to be one of the most ridiculous things I've ever seen. But you know what? Before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's see what actually happened and what the new prices, in fact, actually are. According to the Xbox support website, it says this: US console pricing updates announced September 19th, 2025. Beginning on October 3rd, we will update the recommended retailer pricing for Series S and Series X consoles in the United States due to changes in the macroeconomic environment. Okay, wait, hold on. Let's back that train right back up. First it was market conditions. Now it's macroeconomic environment. So now everybody in the gaming industry is a major in economics is what we're doing. Nobody cares about the macroeconomic environment, Microsoft. People care about getting a good product or a decent product at a good or decent price, and increasing the prices to put the actual fees onto whatever you're dealing with onto the consumer is not the right move. You guys are a $4 trillion market cap company. You should be able to handle $70 extra on top of your consoles right now. You should have made better deals with AMD and every other tech manufacturer when you were making your consoles to have a better price right now. That way these price increases wouldn't be impacting you negatively, and they're going to impact you negatively because we're going to talk about that too. But let's continue and see what the prices in fact actually are, shall we? We understand that these changes are challenging and they were made with careful consideration. Looking ahead, we continue to focus on offering more ways to play more games across any screen and providing value for Xbox players. Beginning on October 3rd, we will update recommended retailer pricing for Xbox Series S and X consoles. Pricing for controllers and headsets will remain the same. Pricing for products in all other markets will remain the same. Now, Microsoft did put out a PDF showing all of the actual information of what the new pricing will be. They failed to mention, however, what the previous pricing was before and what the new pricing is going to be and the change in between. Let's see what actually happened, shall we? The Xbox Series S 512GB edition was $379 and it is now $399. Yeah, that's a good one right there. The 1TB edition was $429 and is now $449. No way are you telling me the Series S, an all-digital console that is portable, whose original MSRP on launch was $300 for the 512 edition. Now it went up to almost $100 extra from what it used to be before? That is insane. So hold on. Let's look at what the actual MSRPs of what these consoles were on their launch. The 512 Series S was $299. It then jumped up to $379, a nice little $80 price increase. After that price increase, it then jumped up again to what it is now going to be at $399, another $20 price increase. That means this console for the 512 edition went up $100 from its original MSRP. That's for the Series S 512 gigabyte edition. For the 1 terabyte edition, it launched at $349. It then went up to $429. Then it went up again to $449. Total $100 price increase on the original MSRP for the 1 terabyte version. What is happening right now? Why are we having these kinds of rates and charges happening in this space when this hardware should not be costing this much in the first place? However, the Series X may in fact get it worse. The digital Series X was $549 a few months ago. It is now $599 for the digital edition. For the disc version, it was $599. Now it is $649. There's no way, dude. $650 for this console that is 5+ years old already. I can't, bro. The digital edition launched at $449. It is now a $150 price increase. The Series X with the disc was $499. It is now $649, another $150 price increase. That is absolutely, positively ridiculous in every sense of the word. If people thought nobody were going to buy Xbox consoles back then, they sure as shit aren't going to be buying them now. I don't understand anybody at Microsoft thinking this is a good idea. It should in fact be the opposite direction. They should be taking the loss on this hardware, and it makes it even worse because the 2 terabyte model that nobody was buying? Wait till you see this. The 2 terabyte Xbox Series X Galaxy Edition was $729. It will now be $799. Just for your reference, that console launched at $599. It was $600. It has now gotten a $200 price increase from its original MSRP. Why in the hell would anybody even do this and then use the excuse of macroeconomic conditions? I'll tell you this right now. Nobody in this God-green forsaken earth would ever use the excuse of macroeconomic conditions as a viable excuse. This hardware is already old. It should not be costing this much to manufacture. Did you guys get a raw deal? Did you get screwed over at the end? What is even in fact happening? And like I said before, the funniest thing PlayStation could do is literally nothing, as their own competition is pricing out people from the entire industry right now on their own. And I gotta give credit where it's due for Xbox, right? The entire idea of everything as an Xbox makes a lot of sense. People get to play their games on any device, on any platform. That's good, that's fine. However, though, that doesn't mean you can start increasing the price of your hardware and not sell it at a loss simply because people can access it from other different directions. The entire point is to cast a wide net to gain more people in your ecosystem. Pricing them out of your ecosystem doesn't help, especially the ones that want to buy the hardware. What is even happening, bro? How is this even possible? I mean, look at the simple reactions to this entire tweet from Jez Corden explaining what's actually happening. Here's Mr. Matty Plays with, "I'm tired, boss." Yeah, I'm tired too. I'm exhausted. I'm tired of getting bent over a barrel by the gaming industry, wanting to charge more prices to give me a worse product over time, wanting to charge $80 and then not learn their lesson. The fact that Xbox had to roll back the cost of Outer Worlds 2 back to $70 and didn't realize the backlash this would cause, now they're doing it with their consoles instead. What is even the point of this? Do they not realize what is actually happening? The fact that Game Pass is the reason why people are so excited about that brand in the first place, because they can play their games on a cheap, easy, and affordable way to do things. But instead, they're going to jack the price up with their hardware and have nobody buy it at all. But I honestly feel things are going to get worse way before they in fact get better. You see, a few months back, there was a really big expose talking about the kind of money being spent in the gaming industry, and things aren't exactly what they should be. In fact, GameSpot had an article that said this: Young Americans are spending a whole lot less on video games this year. New data suggests that the 18 to 24-year-olds are cutting back on many different categories, with losses most concentrated in games. New data published by the market research firm Circana and reported by the Wall Street Journal suggests that young adults are spending nearly 25% less on video game products in a 4-week span in April than in the same time frame last year. Other categories also dramatic drops. Accessories down 18%, technology down 14%, and furniture down 12%. All categories combined, the 18 to 24 age group spent around 13% less than last year. We are looking into a market whose prime demographic, 18 to 24-year-olds, is vastly shrinking simply because either A, games are getting too expensive, being charging $80 for them, B, the rise of the live service game, which everybody seems to be chasing, is exactly what's happening where all the money's being siphoned, and C, an actual market which really is just compressing in on itself. We've talked about how Xbox had to go multi-platform. We saw how PlayStation is now going multi-platform, and we're seeing Nintendo basically just do Nintendo things and sue everybody else under the sun and make every possible patent to make every possible money they can back. The problem is, if we're going to talk about expanding the market and trying to get more people to buy everything, you cannot simply use 2020 as a barometer into what you should be doing right now. These companies like Microsoft, PlayStation, and Nintendo have to adjust with the ever-evolving times. If the market is contracting because spending can't be done as much as it used to, then they have to contract as well. But the problem is the line has to go up for these companies consistently, and the highest peak they saw back in 2020 is never going to be reached again until they try to squeeze you for every single red cent out of your pocket they possibly can, even when your eyeballs burst out of their sockets. And the problem is they're going to keep doing it. But the issue is the more that they do it, the more they're going to squeeze out the actual main user base of people trying to go through and enjoy this hobby. They'll find something else. They'll do something on the meantime, and they'll occupy their time in other ways, either with free-to-play games where you're not going to be able to be successful. I'm looking at you, PlayStation, because you keep fucking that up, or in the other aspects of just trying to have more service-based like solutions, which Xbox is doing the right thing on. But again, I could clearly expect them to raise the price of Game Pass again and again and again. In fact, Christopher Dring of the Game Business tweeted this out recently, saying, quote, "The number of active PS5 and Xbox Series consoles will be 14 million behind what the PS4 and Xbox One achieved during the same point in their life cycle." Now look, I've got no love for Dring at all. We've criticized him multiple times on this channel, but I can clearly see the console business itself and the sales being applied to it simply contracting because things are getting way too expensive. And watching every single PlayStation fanboy talk about, you guys, it's the 12 million of Xbox. That's why it's 14 million. Well, you forgot to count the fact that the other 2 million on PS5 and the fact that where do those other 14 million users in fact go? That's the issue that nobody wants to talk about. If you're losing 14 million users, it's not about, oh, the Xbox is doing bad. It's about the entire industry doing bad. Because if the industry was doing good, then those 14 million would have shifted over to the PlayStation 5, like you clowns have to talk about with console sales all the time. In fact, they didn't though. They went somewhere else. They may have gone to PC, or they may have quit the hobby altogether or gone retro like basically I did. That could be the factor as well. But we're talking about not the fact that Xbox got 12 million less. No, we're talking about that in total, 14 million users gone, disappeared from the market, an actual contraction. It doesn't matter who's contracting in what way, because if they were switching over, they would have switched to PS5 and still been gamers, but they didn't. They left that market, and that's the issue Chris Dring brings up. In fact, he says it himself, saying, quote, "Whenever I cover the potential challenges in the console space and the numbers are mixed and the market is shifting, so it's muddled, the immediate response is, this is just Xbox failing. Why don't you say that?" Well, for starters, I do say that, but it isn't all Xbox. However, your little console tribalism isn't really relevant to the discussion, because from a publisher-developer point of view, the situation is that consoles are declining, or at least seeing a lower transition, and pricing is going up, which may impact the buying abilities of existing players. This scenario is what's driving the push towards multi-platform releases from first-party studios and fewer console-first games, and that isn't just an Xbox problem. And it turns out, oh, the person you dislike the most made an actual valid point. He's correct. Even though there are other ways to game right now, and Xbox is doing the basically play anywhere mantra, which is a great thing in pro-consumer, the problem is the gaming industry has lost all those console buyers. Where they've gone, I don't know. But it could also explain why my GPUs cost $1 billion every time I want to upgrade them. So hey, who knows what's in fact happening in the gaming market? But that is exactly the reason why you're seeing all these companies do multi-platform releases, why you're seeing Helldivers 2 on Xbox and more games coming to Xbox from PlayStation, why Xbox is putting their games onto PlayStation 5. The console market is stuck at the same amount of users, but instead it saw a retraction recently, and that is not a good thing overall. Whether it's Xbox failing or PlayStation, it doesn't matter because those users didn't go to the other side. They just left, and that's the issue with all of this. The gaming industry is going to have to keep squeezing every red cent out of your pocket to stay substantial, and until they realize they can't do that, they're going to push more people out of the actual market and then screw themselves. This is not a good thing. This is not a thing you want to see happen. This is not how things should go. This is not about supporting the developers. This is about a gaming industry not realizing and shifting and being nimble enough to adjust to the market right now and be ever changing and present. They should have already had their consoles at a lower price, but they chose not to because they made a ton of money in 2020 and all those years in between. And they should have gone through and provided a better service overall, but they chose not to. And they should have done all these things like not increase the price of $70, but they chose not to. Look, the thing is, the 2020s accelerated all of this right now. This was always going to happen, except this was just the accelerating agent in all of this. And until these companies realize they cannot bank on the actual money made back in 2020 to 2023, they're going to keep falling on their face, and they're going to keep trying to squeeze you out of every red cent in your pocket until they fall flat on their face. And my biggest concern with all of this is absolutely going to be the new Xbox ROG Ally and Xbox ROG Ally X. Those prices of those systems have not been announced yet, with about a month to go before they release, and that is going to be a really scrolly thing to see. Who knows where it's going to land? A handheld for $1,000 is not going to be it when your console is already going to be $650 or close to $700 at the very end of it. That's not a good move. And then next generation is also going to be a problem as well. Are we going to skip the $599 price point and go right to $699? Who honestly knows? But the fact that we are now paying all that money for the PS5 Pro, the fact that you're paying all this money for an Xbox Series X doesn't bode well for the future outlook of what video games are going to be. And you're going to see an even bigger retraction on that. You may see an increase in PC gaming, or you may even see people just say, screw it, I'm done with the hobby altogether. And that's going to be a terrifying thing, because what will happen is the people that stick around, the companies will keep squeezing and squeezing and squeezing. And it's never going to end the way they think it is. But you know what? Let me know what you think about this in the comments section down below. Are you guys even thinking about getting another Xbox right now? Do you think it's going to happen to PlayStation in the future and even Nintendo? I want to hear what you guys have to say. If you want to see more of this kind of content, more PC port reviews, gaming news, Steam Deck videos, fanboy content, my hot takes in the gaming industry, and live streams every Saturday night, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, subscribe to the channel. We just broke 93,000 subs, and we're on our way to 94K. So I just want to say thank you guys so very much for that. If you want Discord access or most during live streams, become a YouTube member. It's as low as $1. If you don't want to spend a buck, don't sweat it. Come on down Saturday nights, 8:45 p.m. Eastern, where about 800 people insult me while I wear a banana suit and use AITTS to do it. Trust me, you don't want to miss it. With all that being said though, thank you guys so much for watching. Hope you have a great one, and I'll see you gooners next time. Peace!